Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome back to this week's episode of Podiatry Marketing. With me today is my co-host, Big Jim Mack. How are you doing today, Jim?
Fantastic, Tyson. Feeling bigger and better than ever. So,
I think every time I see you, you're getting a bigger chair. You're getting taller on the camera.
yeah, maybe the beard's getting a little bit bigger. I don't know. We'll see.
If I could grow one like that, you probably haven't shaved for 24 hours, and you've probably got that.
Yes, that rugged, unkept look that I just no. It's been a couple days for sure.
Yeah, I got this friend that we know, Som, and when we were in Arizona, he shaved off his beard because we were doing this spy craft stuff. So he was changing just how his appearance. Shaved his beard off, and his wife just jokingly said, "Oh, don't worry, it'll be back by dinner tonight." it just grows it so fast. So anyway, we're not here to talk about grooming today. Even though if people want grooming tips, please let us know. Send us an email. So Jim, what's today's topic?
Today we're going to be talking about investing in solutions versus paying for services.
Ooh, this is a tricky one. I'm looking for, okay, where are we starting on this?
Yeah, so I'd say this starts because this is something I hear a lot whenever people reach out to me. Obviously, I'm someone that provides marketing services. I like to think of more like kind of custom made solutions that really help people, identify what they're trying to achieve in their practice. So it kind of starts by I'll get an email from someone that's either listened to this podcast, found me through Google, and they'll say, "Hey, do you build websites? Do you write blog posts? Because I need someone that does this thing." And
Yeah,
while these are things that I do, I really categorize when people are asking for that. They're really asking like, "Do you do this service?" And I don't think it's a bad question, but I think sometimes there's kind of like some baggage that comes along. Like tell me your price. Like how much do you do blog posts for? Usually kind of comes from an era where podiatrists are really great about taking care of feet and ankles, orthotics. Some are knowledgeable about marketing, but some
yeah,
podiatrists have like I would say a surface level understanding of what marketing is or like digital marketing is, and you know they know that this tactic is supposed to do something, so they need to go find a person to do that tactic. So like that's where it kind of starts off of instead of what's all available out there and what's going to work to really what's the overall plan or the options I have to kind of achieve a clinical goal as opposed to like, you know, what is this one service you can provide for me? So that's kind of where we're going to kind of tackle today.
So you sort of when someone comes to talk to you, like you'll say that they think so it's almost like they want one thing, but they need something else. So they go, "Oh, I want SEO," but I know you need a bigger solution than just looking at your SEO or just doing your website or just patching up something.
Right, exactly. So I think sometimes podiatrists have like a surface level understanding of digital marketing, but also it comes from maybe they had one or two previous like marketing agencies, right? And
Yeah,
those were the services that they were provided by those agencies, and maybe they're not happy with them anymore or want to try something different. So they know they need those things. But what sometimes happens is that like unless that agency had like a really comprehensive and like, coordinated plan that is like really focused on a clinical outcome, whether it's seeing new kind of new specific kind of patient, maybe it's, doing like fee for service instead of insurance plans. It's very rare that it's tied to actually to a specific goal that the clinic sees as important. It's always like get 50 new patients this month, or it's like it's very like I would say it's almost like kind of a FOMO, like, I'm selling you on these types of services to get you
yeah.
a lot of these things. But it may not be exactly the thing the podiatry clinic ultimately wants if they could say, if they took time to think about what they want as a clinic. So that's kind of that first step is like a little bit of knowledge can be kind of dangerous. You've heard of blogging, you've heard of Google Ads, you've heard of all of these tactics, and you just want that thing, but you're kind of overlooking that it has to be kind of a comprehensive plan. So some people don't want to spend time planning or really do the hard work of thinking about what they need before they jump in and start taking action.
Yeah, and I think that happens a lot because I mentioned to you before pressing record that sometimes I'll get a podiatrist that'll approach me and they say, "Oh, I need more. I want more patients, more new patients." I go, "Okay," and I go, "Why?" And they go, "Well, we've been stagnant for the last 3 to 5 years. The clinic hasn't really grown." I'm going, "Okay, so do you really need more new patients so that you can treat them poorly as well? Wouldn't it be better to try and find out what's happened with your existing patients, tidy that whole thing up and find the solution to the problem. And then when you bring on your new patients, you're going to be able to service them far better, and it's going to be better for your business. So it's the same thing. And I think, like you said, there's so many marketing places out there that'll say, hey, download this thing here and you'll attract 45 new patients next month.
No, I think that's a perfect example. I think, it feels better to take action in some ways, right? Like you feel like you're being proactive, you're doing things, but it's
Yeah.
really that level of discovery of having, one or two conversations. It doesn't have to be months of like discovery. It's like one or two like in-depth conversations. And a lot of these questions are why questions, like why do you want more blog posts? Why do you want this thing? And a lot of times it'll be like, well, that's what I heard that works, or like that's
Yeah.
what I read. That's what XYZ marketing agency told me that I needed. So now I'm going to go find like the cheapest way to get that done, that service. And while like, I know some people starting off, are price sensitive, and I'm not trying to say that like you have to spend like tens of thousands of dollars on this, but at the same time, like, unless you're asking why, like, why do you want more blog posts? Well, I want more of a specific type of patient. It doesn't take like 10 whys. Maybe it's, 2 to 4 why questions to get down to the meat of actually what you're trying to achieve. And then once you figure out that that level of discovery, then it's time to like not just jump into like, okay, I know what I want now. I'm just going to go do a one-off thing, right? Like it's not like I know I want more sports medicine patients, so like let's just go do this one thing and then ignore your website, your social, like all the things that you're already doing. It has to be
Yeah.
kind of a coordinated effort.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. And I hope anyone that's listening to this understands what it is that we're saying, that you can't just, everything you do in marketing is a big picture to it. And coming back to, your why, not why you have the business, but what is it that you're trying to actually achieve with every action that you're actually doing. So it was something that we're talking about lately with a few people as well. And a lot of times you can have a million ideas too, but it's really getting clear on what is the objective that you're trying to get. Once you know the objective, then there might be 10 different things you can do, and then it's prioritize what is going to give you the best impact to get what it is that you want. And then it's taking action. But there's a big thought process first, whereas a lot of people are just jumping in and taking action. I need a blog post. So they'll write a blog post, or Jim, you write it for me. Tyson, write me a blog. And that's the action, but they've missed everything else and gone straight to action.
Yeah, it's kind of like finding that purpose or that driving motivation that gets people excited about, is it possible to be a sports medicine podiatrist in your local area? Is it possible to have a thriving wound care clinic? A lot of times that's going to be yes, but until you kind of like break that down, like you said, like get down to the core level of why you're practicing in the first place, what's possible in your local area, and tying that to like some, definitive goals or objectives, like you could write a million blog posts. You could do, $5,000 a month of Google ads, and you're still not going to be happy in practice, right? So it's like, you have to kind of like have that baseline of what you want to do, why you want to do it. And then, like you said, just because, once you have that plan in place, maybe it is going to be like something that is multi-year, or it's going to take multiple steps. It's not just like you create a plan and then just do like, 10 things and it's going to be thousands of dollars. There's ways to implement it in a cost-effective, smart way that's going to get the most kind of bang for your buck. If you're not, like you said, if maybe it's not blog posts, maybe it's something else, but it is having that, being very objective as far as what's going to move the needle based off of kind of what's currently working. And that's the thing that's also tough about any type of marketing or digital things, is that it's always changing. It's not a set it and forget it solution for here's the cookie cutter 5 things you have to do, and then it's going to, generate all of this extra revenue for your practice. You have to be able to adapt to your market, adapt to the technology, adapt to what you want to do, adapt to like what patients are willing to pay you for. There's a lot of kind of ways to, test and do things. And like you said, but it does start from this kind of like creating kind of a coordinated plan instead of just like firing off one-off tactics just because it feels good to take action. You've gone through 15 different things you don't feel like work because there was never like, the core of a coordinated plan or a clear objective before you kind of got started with things.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned on the podcast before. I'm not sure when I was talking about bank robbers. Have I mentioned that? About
A little
robbing a
bit.
bank?
Yeah, yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
metaphor though.
Yeah. So when it comes to robbing a bank, you can be the amateur bank robber who puts a really crappy stocking over their face and bolts in, and they're going to go for the till because they're just going for that low hanging fruit. It's really simple because that's what everybody else does when they're robbing a bank. They bolt in there and they just go for the easy stuff. But the money is in the vault. It's sitting down and it's strategically planning out what it is you want to do and what is the big goal that you're after. And then it all comes back to just capacity. How much can you carry out? So what you're saying is the same sort of thing where don't just keep chasing the till, the bank till draws, is sit down with you and work out how can we really rob that bank properly. It
No,
sounds terrible, doesn't it?
it sounds terrible, but at the same time, like it is one of those things where it there's so much information being put out there about marketing, right? Like it's not it's something that people are being cold called about, cold emailed about. They hear like I hear that XYZ tactic works. Like I hear blog posts are the magic. I hear that creating 5 different websites, each for each of my practice location is the magic. It's always one of these things. It's like it can, unless you're in it day to day, you get bombarded with these things and you feel
Yeah.
like, oh, that's the thing that's going to work. But there's only certain things that work at certain times, and if you try to do all of the things without having understanding either what works or what your objectives are, you're just going to be kind of spraying and praying, and you won't really know what's kind of moving the needle. So it is one of those things by having, working with someone who can create kind of a coherent plan for you, is a good place to start. But like a lot of people just want to jump over that though. And I don't think that's necessarily, it's not really the podiatrist's fault. It's because it's kind of the way that a lot of agencies sell it to people. Like
Mm.
whenever I work with someone, it's very clear before we do any kind of action, we're going to have kind of a discovery or an audit, or, we'll kind of like assess what you've currently done with your website, your marketing, your Google ads. I'm not perfect, but I think, at least, getting a baseline of what's either working or not working and what people are doing really helps people kind of take a quick breath to see, okay, yeah, these are the things that I've done. Like, are there photos on my website that shows me doing the type of care I want to provide? As opposed to like, I've said it 1,000 times, but like footprints on the beach is like, is that who you are? The beach podiatrist. If you're the beach podiatrist, more power to you. But
Yeah.
like, having stuff that's relevant for the specific type of patients you want to attract on your website. Like I love your line. Like does your website, if if you're being convicted of a crime, is there enough evidence on your website, to convict you of that thing? And
Yeah.
that's powerful. And but I don't necessarily. It's not really the podiatrist's fault though, because they're getting bombarded by it. This is the way people sell to them, right? Like we're going to sell you the package that's like SEO and website, and you need these specific things, but those come after the discovery or the plan that's really based off the objectives that people want to make. But I don't, like I said, it's people are being sold to that way. So it's not necessarily the podiatrist's fault, but it's just like they're used to like, buying services and not really like investing time and money in getting towards a solution as opposed to just services.
Yeah. And I think it's one of these things where they'll see what one podiatrist is doing. And just because it works for one podiatrist doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else. They've got to, they could be in a completely different area. And I mentioned this to someone recently too, when I mentioned before about, use this email technique or these text messages and you get 44 new patients tomorrow. The thing they don't tell you is, one, in Australia, it's illegal. You can't send emails and text messages to people who are not your patients already to try and get them to become a patient. You just can't do that crap. So what they're not telling people is, no, what we're going to do is get 44 existing patients coming back. But they also don't tell you that they only work with businesses that are turning over a certain amount of money because they know you need to have a certain amount of patients for this tactic to actually work. They also don't tell you how many do they burn in the process of getting that 44, how many did they annoy? So on the surface, it may look enticing and people jump all over it. But when you dig deep into it, it's so superficial, it can actually be damaging to your business long term.
I think that's a great point. I think you really have to be, I think all the things I try to use whenever I'm working with podiatrists is, what are things that are going to, grow the trust in your clinic, kind of project a positive, image and grow the reputation that you have. I think those, things like reviews, showing people that, you're a good member of the local community, and really kind of having a helpful, useful website, things that make, people have kind of good patient interactions with anything that is, has your image or, is kind of part of your online presence is hugely important because like you said, if you do something scammy, like, I'm maybe a rare marketer, but like I would feel bad if I was resulting to those tactics. I'd like even with besides I do things to market my own business, as podiatry growth, like
Yeah.
that I'll be proud of. So let alone being kind of given the reputation and trust of a clinic that I'm working with. I don't take those things lightly. And like you said, sometimes if someone's trying to squeeze out 40 patients or 50 patients, that first month to like, to hook, a podiatrist, maybe they see you as a number because a lot of these, providers are really about the numbers and more about, churning through people as opposed to like building long-term kind of mutually beneficial relationships, not only between the podiatrist and the marketer or the person providing the marketing solutions or services, but also with the patient. Because if you lose trust with them, it's like a double whammy because it's bad it's a bad long-term play all around.
Bad juju. But it's no different to a patient walking into your clinic and saying, yeah, I've got really bad ankles. I just came in because I want you to recommend a pair of joggers for me. And the podiatrist would go, well, we need to do more of an assessment. No. My friend got this pair of joggers. I don't know what the brand was, but I thought if I come and see you, because these ankles are really, really bad, that you could tell me what shoe I should wear to fix my problem.
Right.
And then now the podiatrist can get sucked into that and recommend a shoe. The patient buys it and it doesn't help because there was more to it than just buying a pair of shoes. This is how podiatrists are going to look at their marketing. Is they can come to you and say, Jim, write me some blog articles. You write the blogs. And they go, didn't bloody work, Jim. You can't write. And they're blaming you for it not working. But they never addressed the whole underlying problem or what is actually required.
No, I think that's a great metaphor, or because I think
I love my metaphors.
No, like no, I think that's a perfect metaphor. It's like you said, like you would never, just jump to the treatment with the patient, right? You wouldn't just like get him in the chair, walk in the room, and say, "I heard your feet hurt. Here's the orthotics. You asked for them, you got them.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week, and we'll fit them for you or something, or maybe you can do it the same day or something." But you have to have that history and physical. You have to spend time listening, understanding what does that patient want to do. Are they 80 years old and all they want to do is be able to walk to the grocery store or play out in the park, very gingerly with their their grandkids or something. Like that's what that's setting the bar with that person to do that thing. But maybe it's a 25-year-old who has heel pain and wants to run a marathon in 6 weeks or in 8 weeks. What are you going to be able to do for that person? So the the expectations or what you can offer these different patients is going to really vary, and you won't know. And you can't just look at the person and hear what they want from you and provide a great service. You really need to listen to them, examine them, see what all the options are out there, and then pick the ones that are going to be, getting them to their highest level of getting better as quickly as possible, but also in a way that, you feel good about and they feel good about, and you built that trust and you're working together as opposed to just like, give me that orthotic doc and I'll walk out of your office and things will be all good. So I think that's a great way to compare things and a great kind of a metaphor for, how like, you want to look for someone who's can help you deliver, someone's going to deliver solutions for you. And you just don't want to like pick out someone that's just going to like do like a minimal amount of service.
I've got another metaphor for you if you want one. You
fire
can start calling me the metaphor king. TM.
Okay, King. What's next?
It's TMK and Big Mac. Well, when we were talking about the footwear, and instead of a patient came into you, podiatrists are far more professional. They just say, oh yeah, well, here's the shoe you should get. But that's the difference between a podiatrist who is a foot care professional compared to just going to like the athlete's foot to a shoe shop. Because that same person could walk into the shoe shop and say, oh, I've got really sore ankles. I need some shoes. They go, not a problem. Here's your shoes. Go. They've done their job. to me, that is what happens when some people approach some marketing agencies is they go, I need a pair of shoes, and they give them the pair of shoes and they leave. But when they're talking to you, or if they're talking to me with coaching, we're not going to give them a pair of shoes. I'm going, sorry, you're not getting shoes from me until we do a proper assessment to find out what's going on with your business. Then we'll address it. And yes, shoes may be part of it, but there's probably going to be a lot of other things as well.
No, that's another good metaphor. I think it is like one of those things.
Full of them.
If you know, while I could definitely like take on more business and just build the website to that thing, like until you have kind of like worked down that path together or totally understand what you're trying to build with them, it's like a it's just not something that I can do or want to do anymore, because it's just you want to make sure that you and that like I want to make sure that myself and the clinic are aligned. We understand what the objectives are, and then we'll be able to assess them together. And when I'm providing services, it's, I just did that service. But when we're trying to really work together on solutions or ways for them to achieve those clinical outcomes, it's much more satisfying on both ends. I'm sure the clients I work with right now would definitely agree with that. But yeah, that's it's an interesting topic, because like I really hope that this kind of information get out to podiatrists, because if someone's treating you just like, hey, we want to sell you these 3 services, like you should take a step back and really, question, like, do I need services, or I need someone to really, I'll get asked sometimes like, well, I don't want your consulting, I just want your services. And like, that's not something I can provide, because it's just like, I know where that road leads, and it leads to frustration on both sides of the equation. And,
it does.
And I don't want that. Life's too short to have frustrating interactions with other people. I mean, I wouldn't continue this podcast if I wasn't learning things from you, Tyson, or enjoying our time together. And I want to make sure that when I'm working with clients and other podiatrists, that we kind of build those positive working relationships that last years and not just, months or weeks. So,
yeah, well, same thing. I've had some coaching clients that I've had 2-3 years that we've been working together, and I've taken where their business was, and they're now doing triple what they were doing, and they're making good money beforehand, but we've tripled their turnover, and they've just gone, yeah, why people don't do this, I don't know. And I have other people who will be with me 3 months, 4 months, maybe 5, could be 6, and they leave. You sort of get, we never really got to, they had improvement, but they should have hung around. They should have stayed longer to get double what they were doing, triple what they were doing. And it's all a long game. You got to play the long game.
Yeah, I think it's just finding those people that, you can play the long game with. That's important on both sides. There's some people that will come to me and do these things, and it's a reasonable fee, but I just like, unless you're willing to do the work with me, like, I just can't do it anymore. So I think it's a great opportunity. There's lots of great opportunities, whether it be your coaching or in the kind of digital marketing sphere, to really help, project professionalism and really grow a practice, or, kind of achieve these clinical outcomes and goals that people have. But they just have to, be willing to do the work and see it, like I said, investing in those solutions, and, really seeing it more than just paying for those services.
Yeah, I do think and this, like you said, there's going to be certain people where it's only going to suit them to do a short-term fix. That's what they want. Sometimes you've got to give them what they want, but yeah, it's not always enjoyable working on quick fixes. And there's going to be certain people who will always see the value in the long game. So Jim, you got anything else to say, or we're going to wrap this one up?
No, I think that's a good spot. I think, like you said, Tyson provides some great podiatry coaching services. I provide digital marketing expertise.
Did you say some great? Tyson provides some great coaching service. Tyson provides awesome coaching service.
Some means like, not only do you provide coaching services, you provide these great, you've got an upcoming course. I think it's starting here pretty soon in February. So
about a week's time, yeah. The 12-week podiatry business reboot. And
exactly. So
I think it may be very close to being full, if not full already.
So people will be wise to sign up for some of these things. And if you do just have general questions, like, we definitely head over to podiatry.marketing. We've got a wealth of information. We've got a significant amount of podcasts.
I will talk to you next week.
All right, Tyson. Bye now.
Okay, bye. See ya.